That is a wrap on President Trump's jam-packed Friday in the Valley.
All new at 10, the president sending out this tweet saying, "Beautiful evening in Mesa, Arizona with great patriots. Thank you."
Right now he's back at the Scottsdale Princess Resort after a full day crisscrossing our area. It's a visit that keeps Arizona front and center as we barrel toward November.
It culminated with that rally in front of packed crowds at Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport. ABC 15's Justin Pizzera joining us from that venue. And Justin, quite the spectacle out there tonight.
It really was quite the show out here, Danielle, and the president pointing out that basically all eyes are on Arizona for this Senate race between Martha McSally and Kyrsten Sinema, the two of them really in a dead heat, a very close race. But the president's rally here today was really quite a show. At some points, it was really like a concert. From the music, they had a merchandise table, folks were buying their hats and their T-shirts, to the entrance, President Trump parking Marine One right in front of that crowd. It would be hard to top showing up to a rally like this. President Trump arriving on Marine One, parking it right smack in front of a screaming crowd. On the chopper with the president, Martha McSally, the Republican candidate for U.S. Senate. She's in a heated and extremely close race with Kyrsten Sinema. After the screams and chants, the political jab started and nothing was off topic for the president. He poked at Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren. The two have argued if she has Native American ancestors.
You know, we can no longer say Pocahontas because she has no Indian blood.
The crowd frequently chanting and holding signs, "Build the wall," which the president said tonight will be finished.
The wall is under construction.
The president encouraging everyone to vote early, but only for Republicans.
Anybody that votes for a Democrat now is crazy.
Of course, the media not off limits. The crowd chanting multiple times, "CNN sucks." The president using his typical line, "the fake media."
This great state was settled by some of the toughest men and toughest and most beautiful women. Now they're going to say tomorrow, he called women beautiful. Isn't that terrible? Governor Doug Ducey also here at this rally. He spoke before Trump took the stage. We could see the governor seated in the front row, also with some other dignitaries from Arizona. The president is expected to have another rally tomorrow night in Nevada. We're live in Mesa. Justin Pizzera, ABC 15, Arizona.
Thank you, Justin. During the rally, some controversy for Senate candidate Martha McSally. Listen closely as she talks about a Valley officer killed in the line of duty.
Yeah. And look, this is personal. In the audience tonight is Mary Ann Mendoza and her son Brian, a Mesa sergeant in the Mesa Police Department, was killed by a man who didn't belong being here and should have been gone.
McSally saying the name Brian Mendoza when talking about a Mesa officer killed years ago by an undocumented immigrant. His name was actually Brandon Mendoza. We reached out to the officer's mother, Mary Ann Mendoza, who says it was an innocent mistake and I'm not making a big deal about it. Before the president arrived in Mesa, a sea of energized supporters waiting inside that packed hangar. This image standing out in today's society. Almost everybody in the crowd holding up their phones, capturing the events as they unfolded. That's the scene on the inside, but how about the environment outside the rally?
Protesters and supporters going out there in full force. Police there on scene to make sure everyone played nice. ABC 15's Zach Crenshaw joining us live now. And Zach, we've seen these two sides go at it before. How did things go down tonight?
Well, without the fireworks of last year, Danielle, it was certainly a different vibe. We did see some protesters here, and we heard about kind of a half-hearted attempt to block traffic both before and after the rally. Mesa police, though, said they were able to disband those protesters quickly with no arrests. And while there were some, it was overwhelmingly pro-Trump.
Divided into groups, thousands of supporters waited quietly for hours to see President Trump. But during one section, it got loud.
We're great because of our unity.
Unity was not on display.
Maybe 10 protesters, right?
Yeah, you know what? That means we're infinitely braver than you.
Only about a dozen protesters were outside the airport hangar.
Way far away. It takes a while to get here. Actually easy. I walked for like 2 miles to get here.
Other protesters like Patricia Spano drove 40 miles. She was quickly surrounded.
Do numbers make right?
How much do you think you're outnumbered?
It doesn't matter how much I
No, I want to know.
It was a common theme.
Get away from my back. You're in my personal space, and I don't like it. Thank you. Thank you.
Rose Smith was a middle school teacher for 30 years. She showed up to prove a point.
Arizona is not represented by these people. It's represented by people like myself and my daughter here.
The other side says the same thing, though.
And a lot of these people, I think it's a silent majority, are out today.
One theory about why there weren't as many protesters here tonight is that the midterm elections are just a few weeks away. And as opposed to coming out with signs, people will just head to the polls.
This is just Trump country, that's all.
A more accurate assessment will likely come after November 6th. But as President Trump flew in on Marine One, his supporters were energized. The question is, how many potential protesters stayed home tonight, but will be out on Election Day?
Now, another reason we did not see a repeat of what happened in downtown Phoenix was not only because Mesa police were out in full force. A lot of their officers told me it was all hands on deck, but also the location. I mean, we are out here kind of in the desert near this airport hangar, so even if somebody wanted to pull a stunt, incite some violence, there was nowhere to run or hide, and police were literally on every corner. Now, both sides are turning their attention to November 6th and the upcoming election. Live in Mesa, Zach Crenshaw, ABC 15, Arizona.
And before that rally there in Mesa, the president toured the grounds at Luke Air Force Base and also took part in a roundtable discussion there. The president praising the West Valley Military Base, including the entire fleet of aircraft housed there. He says the F-35 alone supports 190,000 jobs across the U.S. During his visit, he also talked about the now confirmed death of Saudi journalist and Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi.
We may have some questions. We do have some questions. And as I told you, I'll be working on this with Congress.
Officials in Saudi Arabia claiming the journalist died in a fistfight involving more than a dozen Saudi officials at the country's consulate in Istanbul.
So what is the Trump effect on the biggest races in the state? That's the looming question mark as Republicans look to turn out their base. They're going all in with the president, hoping it doesn't turn off independent voters.
Hello, Arizona. We love being in Arizona.
He is perhaps the most polarizing figure ever in American politics. Popular with the party base, but lagging in support among moderates and independents. For Martha McSally, there is risk in standing shoulder to shoulder with him.
Trump's in the White House. That's a reality. He's in Arizona. That's reality. Martha McSally is going to rise or fall with him.
And GOP strategist Dan Barnes says that's the idea. Republicans are banking on repeating a Trump majority that allowed the president to carry Arizona in 2016. So what about Governor Ducey, who has often kept the president at arm's length? Barnes says it's a sign the governor is confident in his lead.
I think he's going to be reelected. And in that environment, he's got latitude to possibly offend some.
Barnes says Republicans plan on winning with turnout, a familiar strategy in a state where the GOP has the largest voting bloc. But voter registration numbers show Democrats have narrowed the gap to less than 4 percentage points, and that is the closest margin since 2009. If you missed tonight's rally or you want to catch up on the president's visit, we've got you covered on ABC15.com. Just head to the homepage for all the big stories from this high-profile trip to the Valley.